Welcome back to the Lighthouse International podcast, lighting the way for your child to find their purpose and passion and live their best life. This is founder and director Eliza Rivas, and I'm here today with a special guest, Lucia Rivas.
Hello, hello, hello.
She is the reason I set out on the path to start Lighthouse Academy. I wanted to talk to her a little bit about her experience in relation to the hero's journey. The hero's journey is foundational to all Acton Academy systems, and it is something that is ingrained in a daily part of a learner's life. It becomes something that defines them both in school and out of school. And so I figured there'd be no better person to talk to about that than Lucia. Lucia, would you like to share with us, because you do it so well, what the hero's journey is?
The hero's journey is a journey that all heroes take, hence the name Hero's Journey. You can look at most mainstream media, especially adventure stories, dystopian, sci-fi, and you'll find that these heroes there are elements to their stories that are the same. And these elements are, so you start, right? You're beginning. It's called the status quo. That's just your everyday life. Nothing has changed yet. Mm-hmm. Then you have your call to adventure. This is the moment you've come across your calling, your passion in its simplest form, maybe. Just, you heard about it. You have an idea. Mm. Then is usually the refusal of the call.
And that is something that happens all the time.
All the time. Because going on the hero's journey is scary. It can be scary and challenging, and you don't feel ready all the time. When you first come across your calling, you're not always ready. So there does come the refusal of the call, or maybe the avoidance of the call. And then you enter your new world. After you accept the call, of course. Then you enter your new world. And this can be moving for your new job that you didn't know if you were going to take because it was far away from your family. It could be writing the book that you have been thinking about for months, but you were scared because you didn't know if it was a good enough idea. It could be anything that starts you on your path, on your hero's journey. After that comes, you meet with your mentors and your allies. If you look at the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen meets her mentor in Haymitch, right? Yeah. But if you look at, say, Harry Potter, it can be Dumbledore, it can be his professors. It's a more literal mentor role, but not necessarily mentor, right. You know? Then you have your first trials. Right. Your challenges. It's the road of trials is what it's formally called, because it's going to be like a long, twisty, windy road. Mm-hmm. And it can sometimes be trial after trial after trial. And it's important that you overcome these because, in my opinion, your trials are what sets you up for success later down the road.
Ooh, and what about it sets you up for success? What about the road?
I believe your trials are your tasks that you need to overcome to build the skills and the resilience that you will need to continue to succeed and to continue down this path of success and to continue with your hero's journey. You do need skills that maybe you don't have at the beginning of your hero's journey, and you need to know people, and you need to have just overcome these challenges that are hard in the moment and also just set you up for success, because once you've learned how to overcome your fear of public speaking, once you've learned how to stand up for yourself, once you've learned how to do hard things, then when the big things come along that you're going to be prepared. Like the final showdown. Yeah. When the final showdowns come, you're going to be more prepared because of the trials. You need those trials.
Gotcha.
Usually after the trials comes the final showdown. Mm-hmm. And obviously there are going to be small successes built in, because if you have no success and you have no joy, this isn't your path. Okay, fair. You're going to have to find something else. The final showdown is For another example, going back to you moved for your new job. Move for your new job and you don't get along with your coworkers. That's some of your trials, okay? And you have trouble getting your reports in on time. And you're struggling with this new software that makes remote communication easier, right? You overcome all that because this is your dream job. All of a sudden, final showdown, somebody gets sick at home and you have to go back. But you've learned how to use those softwares that make remote communication easier. And you know how to turn your things in on time, to get those in early enough that you still have time to be with that sick family member. And you are prepared and confident in your role so that when the final showdown comes, you're not as unprepared and scared and lost as you would be.
What comes next on the hero's journey?
The reward. I love that part. It's always so rewarding. The reward comes next. And really this is just seeing the pieces come together. There's something just so satisfying about that. For me personally, on my first round of the hero's journey in my life, right, that it was really hard. You know, my hero's journey began when Lighthouse began, because that was when my life started to change.
Yeah.
Like everything before was just my status quo. I was going to public school. I was going through the motions. Everything was just normal, you know, like normal to me. And then Lighthouse started. That was my call to adventure. Lighthouse started. Actually, I think my call to adventure started before that. I think my call to adventure started when you discovered the Acton Academy system. Because that was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, right? Yeah. This is so cool. Why wouldn't I want to do that? The Lighthouse started, and then came my refusal of the call.
Yes. Yes, it did.
Because it was hard.
Yeah.
Imagine, I'm 10 years old. I leave school with all of my friends, everything I know. All of the familiarity of that is gone. And I am not dealing very well. I am rebellious at this point, and I'm just refusing my call to greatness. And I think that was a really hard place to be, being in the middle of your hero's journey and in the refusal stage.
It's very uncomfortable because you have something in there that's telling you this is what you need to do. And so even when you're saying no, and even if you're giving yourself all those excuses, it doesn't go away. It just not go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after the reward, how does the cycle complete itself?
Return to the status quo. You come back and you are different because of your journey. Again, bringing back to the Hunger Games. This is seen at the end of the Hunger Games when she completes her victory tour. When she completes her victory tour, she comes back home. She lives in Victor's village. And she's very different. She is much stronger as a human being. She's mentally and physically stronger. And her mind has changed. Her opinions has changed. Her perspectives have changed. Everything has changed for her. And because of her journey and because of her experiences, her return to the status quo was filled with nightmares and trauma. And I think her second round through the hero's journey was a lot of healing. And not in the traditional sense. She started rejecting control. She started to live for herself. And she wouldn't have been able to do that if it weren't for the strength that she found in her first round of the hero's journey.
Makes sense. And that is very applicable to our lives too. Like most things, you don't go through something one time. There are layers and there are levels. And I might face a version of a particular trial or final showdown with several iterations. Maybe it looks different, maybe it's from a different perspective, but it's the same general idea over and over as I learn how to overcome all parts of that trial, all parts of that showdown. That makes a lot of sense. So you talked about how you've made it through one cycle of the hero's journey.
And luckily, I've come out on the other side. I'm a much more mature person. I'm a much more respectful person. I'm a much more understanding person. I'm not as rebellious, and I have my reasons for doing things.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Where do you feel like you are on your current hero's journey?
On my current hero's journey, I definitely feel like I am between my assistants, my mentors and allies, and my beginning trial. So I'm kind of in that transition, that in between.
What was your call to adventure for this round?
My call to adventure for this round was the return to the status quo from the last round. My call to adventure was really just seeing that I can do better. Like being this new person, and now I know there's more for me. And it's like, oh, the places you'll go, the things that you can do, oh, the people you'll meet. Yeah. That call to adventure was me deciding to be successful. I guess that was the acceptance of the call, but it was seeing that I can be successful. It was being this new person and knowing that there's something more I have to do now.
What is your definition of success? What is being a successful person to you?
Oh, wow, that's a good question.
Thank you. Lots of guide experience right there.
Yeah. So success for me comes in different parts. I think for me, success is I am actively doing things.
Okay.
I have different parts of my life where I crave success. Obviously, success in my spiritual life is I am actively reading the Bible. I am actively praying for people. I am volunteering my work, my hours. I am living life as I was made to live life, right? With the fruits of the Spirit and generosity and goodness and kindness. You know, counseling others and being counseled myself. For me, success is always measured by how much am I doing. I think a lot of people are results driven.
Yeah.
Always worry too much about the results because I know with the body that I have and the mind that I have, if I do enough, then I'm going to get the results that I want. And if I don't, then I'm not doing enough.
That's a powerful insight to have into yourself. I love that. Very cool. In thinking about the last 5 years and the journey that you have been on as a hero, I have a few questions about that. The first is, what do you think have been your biggest or most surprising victories? And then on the flip side, what have been your biggest challenges?
I definitely know my biggest challenges. My biggest challenges have been learning how to accept myself as a good person. I was stuck in that I'm a bad person mentality for a long time because that's the role I was always given. I am loud and I'm opinionated, and the challenge was accepting myself as what I could be.
Ooh, I love that.
A big part of that was no longer acting like who I was. That's an identity I had definitely claimed. I think one of the biggest successes I've had in the last 5 years was learning that I was given my personality for a reason.
Yes.
I have a purpose, and there's a purpose for people like me, and there's a purpose for people opposite of me. Yeah. And the biggest success I had was learning that who I am is okay. And my goal isn't to change. My goal is to use myself for good.
Ooh, and that is what heroes do.
It was really
it's always a choice.
It was becoming the anti-hero. Well, that was kind of my self-acceptance journey, is learning that anti-heroes exist. It's not just the heroes and the villains.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to just
be perfect.
Be perfect and be quiet and be stereotypical image of good, right? I can be the Harley Quinn of the world.
Yes. Yes, you can. So learning how to accept yourself and figuring out how to use everything that you are for good has been your biggest victory in the past 5 years with Lighthouse.
That and learning how to interact with others.
Tell me a bit about that, because you are a fairly extroverted person who has always enjoyed talking with people you don't know at any given time. So what did you learn about communication with other people that you didn't know before?
I learned a lot about myself in my relationships with other people and in my communications with other people. I overcame a lot of relational anxiety that I had. Within my journey at Lighthouse, the biggest marker of success is a relationship I have within the studio. The fact that me and this person are cordial, right? That's insane growth in the both of us. And I learned a lot because of this relationship I have with this person. I knew how to talk, but I didn't know how to communicate.
Ooh. And those can be very different things.
Yeah. I didn't know how to communicate my boundaries in a way that was kind and respectful or direct, because as a child I was rejected a lot socially, right? And there are a lot of people who pretended to be my friend, and I never wanted to pretend to be someone's friend. And the way I would fight that, or the way I would try to not pretend, was by being mean, because I didn't want to make someone think that I liked them when I didn't, or I wanted to be their friend when I didn't. I didn't know how to have a professional relationship with somebody. So I was just using those experiences that I had and just letting them consume me. But I learned self-awareness, which was really big. And I learned how to communicate my whys and how to recognize my whys, how to recognize why I did things, why I behaved the way I do, and how to remove emotion from situations. I learned how to be objective with things. And I think that gave me the ability to not be the bad guy. I could just look at something objectively and say, this is what you did. This is what I did. What I did was wrong. What you did was also wrong. This is how that made me feel. This is why I am reacting the way that I am reacting. Because when you said this, that made me feel this, which reminded me of this, which brought on this response. I learned how to psychoanalyze myself. It was powerful to learn how to communicate with people I don't agree with.
Yes.
How to debate respectfully. How to not cut into people when I'm angry. And look at things objectively. I learned how to fight to understand people, because I think understanding is the key to relationships, just in general.
There is a saying that says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Your relationships can only go so far as you are able to put yourself in that person's shoes and try to understand from their perspective why a situation is the way it is and what can be done about any given situation.
Yeah. So learning how to communicate, learning how to debate, learning how to have deep conversations with people that I strongly disagree with, learning how to keep things cordial, learning how to avoid arguments, learning how to not say things, because that's really hard. And I still struggle with not saying things because I have a visceral reaction to not saying things. It's like, oh, well, aren't you glad you didn't start a fight? No, I'm not. I'm thinking about this and I feel sick because I didn't let them know what was on my mind. Sometimes, for the greater good, you have to stay quiet. And that's really hard. So I learned how to be a better person within myself. And I learned how to be a person with other people.
I love that. Those are some powerful lessons. Those are some lessons that people my age sometimes still have not gotten to yet, or gotten through.
Oh, trust me, I know. I've had conflicts with grown adults. They don't like me sometimes.
You know, that is fair. It is fair because you do have a strong personality and
I
you
am
do
not
have
for everyone.
And that is okay. It is okay. My last couple questions for you are a bit about your journey. I share about my perspective of your journey all the time. As I talk with families about why I began Lighthouse, about what it was I was looking for, the needs that I saw in you, and the lack of ability for me to meet those needs any other way. But I love hearing from your perspective.
Yeah. Protection and vulnerability are really important to me. Vulnerability is a big fear of mine, but I realized that other people need to hear that you've gone through something.
Yeah.
So that you're credible.
Yes. And you're relatable.
Yeah.
You're not some, I can never reach that, exactly. So why do I even bother type of person.
I can never be that person. You can, because I'm that person. And if I'm that person, you can be that person.
I love it. The last two questions I have for you are, what, in your opinion, does a learner need to thrive in a self-driven environment like Lighthouse? And the second one is, what is one piece of advice you would give a family that's considering Lighthouse?
First, I think they need to have an understanding of themselves, or understand that they're going to gain an understanding of themselves.
Okay. Yep.
In a self-driven environment, you need to have a reason why. If you're doing it for a grade that doesn't work here, we don't have those.
Yeah.
I hear my friends talk all the time, my public school friends, like, I only need to get a 29 to keep my A. And I was like, you're okay with getting a 29? What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. It's always, how little can I do to succeed? What is the least amount of work, the least amount of effort, the least amount of anything that I have to give and still be all right? And I think that's just a harmful way to live life. Those are harmful habits to build. I definitely overcame that going from elementary to middle school to high school. Thinking just like a year or two ago, I was like, okay, if I have to write 250 words, I only have to write like 10 words per question. And now I'm like, okay, well, let me just get all my thoughts out.
Yeah.
Let me just explain everything. And that's not necessarily great for me. I'm still balancing that. I'm finding my balance.
Yeah.
Because doing the maximum all the time is really stressful and it makes you not want to do anything.
You know, the maximum of your ability and trying to do everything are two different things.
Yes, trying to do everything all of the time is just hard.
Exhausting.
It's exhausting. I'm learning how to figure it out. But they need to have a why. I want to go to this college. That's my why as of right now. And my whys are, I want to go to a specific college. And I want to be, and how I want to be perceived. How I want to be perceived is very important to me. And so I need that credibility to back me up, saying, yes, I do get my work done. And I do put a lot of effort into things. And I am a hard worker. Those are my whys because of how I want to be perceived by other people.
So that you're genuine.
So that I'm genuine.
Makes sense.
I think there are followers and there are leaders in the world, and the world needs both.
Yes.
And I don't think you can truly succeed here if you don't have your own opinions and your own views and your own, because of the deep conversations that we have and because of the debates that we have, it's going to force you to think those things. And if you're not that kind of person, you either have to become that kind of person or it's just not going to be the right fit for you because we think very, very deeply about things here. And we push and people are going to disagree with you and you can't just say, okay, that's okay. It's okay, you think that, but why? And you have to prove your points. You have to be strong in something.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go deeper with things.
Because you want to.
Because you want to.
Yeah.
There has to be something that you're passionate about and something that you believe in. You have to have something to believe in.
I would agree with that. I know I've spent a long time trying to think of descriptors of a learner who thrives in an environment like this. And one of the words that I settled on was audacious.
Mm-hmm.
Learners who thrive at Lighthouse and at self-driven, learner-driven environments generally have a sense of audaciousness in them.
Yes.
They want to do big things and they want to do them now. Now, those things might change 5 times a year, and that is okay. But they have big things that they want to accomplish in the world. They have big goals, big dreams.
And not all of them want to change the world, but some of them want to change their world. And that's okay.
Exactly. It looks different. Not everybody is outspoken. Not everybody is extroverted and super energetic with it. Every learner that I can think of that is or has been successful here all have their thing, that thing they're super passionate about, that thing that they're willing to overcome any hardship, any insecurity, any embarrassment to do something about because this is their passion. And that's something that I've noticed across the board, that and a strong sense of independence, a strong sense of, yeah, I got this. Let me just do it. And I'll let you know if I'm going to have any questions or need anything from you.
And a lot of people don't vibe with it.
Yeah, that is true. We are a niche environment.
Definitely.
I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
As far as families who are looking into alternative education, who are looking into Lighthouse specifically, what is one piece of advice you would give them as they're considering something like this?
As they're considering something like this? Okay. Because it's a little different than the advice I would give for someone who's enrolled, right? The advice.
Oh, I'd love to hear both. We'll wrap up after that.
Okay. Understand that this is not all sunshine and cupcakes and rainbows and glitter and butterflies.
Yes.
You need to have a sense of patience.
Mm.
You must be patient, but not passive.
Oh, that's powerful.
As you're considering Lighthouse, understand that it's not going to be end all be all. There's going to be growth that your child has to go through. And understand that here, your child is going to be their own leader. We're not going to contain them. If they want to climb trees, they're going to climb trees. If they want to splash in puddles and play in the sand and pick up cicadas, which is horrifying to me. I don't know why they do that, but they do.
I know specifically you are speaking about the Spark Studio right now.
Yes, I am.
The cicadas.
Oh, the cicadas. We're not going to tell them that they can't. We're never going to tell them that they can't do something. Now, we're going to encourage them to think about it.
Yep.
Think through their choices. How are you being safe with your body right now? Because we're not going to be there. And you're not going to be there all of the time. Yeah. So they need those skills. They need to learn how to think through something and how to
calculate risks.
Yeah, calculate risks. That's what I was going for. Because we're not going to tell them no. Yeah. Well, obviously, we're going to tell them no sometimes.
Sometimes. Yes.
But this is really about your child's growth as a human being more than as a student.
Ooh. Yes, that is dead on.
Because we care about them as people, not as students, you know, all that worried about their test scores. The once a year we have one, and we're not all that worried about, you know, their current reading comprehension and their current writing abilities. What we care about is, are they growing? And do they care enough to grow?
Right. And they learn how to care through the focus on character that we have.
Exactly.
Like in an environment where you are consistently challenged to work to the best of your ability, to do the right thing when no one's looking, to have a good attitude when you're taking risks and trying something new, your ability to be respectful at all in all circumstances, those things carry into academic achievement and academic progress and success.
And I thought of another thing that someone needs to succeed here. And that is the ability to hold others accountable.
Ooh, yes.
Because no one will succeed here if no one's being held accountable.
Yeah.
You're not going to succeed, and it's not helpful to allow everybody to do whatever they want. You don't care about somebody if you support them in everything that they do.
Right. If they're making wrong choices and you're not saying anything, then you are not showing that you care.
Exactly. You're showing you don't care about what they do. And you don't care about what happens to them and who they become. You need to know how to hold others accountable, and you need to be, and it can be in your own way, because we have learners who do it in a very gentle way, in a very non-intrusive way, and we have learners who will call you out outright. That is one of the biggest things that you need for anybody to succeed here, both your child and your child's studio mates.
And then one final piece of advice for current parents at Lighthouse International.
Failure is normal.
Yes.
And it takes a minute to adjust.
Yeah.
And may not be progressing quickly academically. They are doing insane amounts of growth as human beings.
Yes. And that growth can take some time.
It does, as all growth does. Growth is little, growth is long, and it can be painful to watch and feel like you can do nothing, but something is happening. Always something is happening. And so, again,
just trust the process.
Trust the process, because it's gonna turn out better than expected.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Lucia.
Of course.
And thank you for your perspectives. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you on the podcast today, and I wish you all of the best in your future endeavors.
Of course. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I had fun talking.
Thank you so much.
Bye.